Hey guys, off the Mike Sports Network here. Another big story in the NFL, actually, because we've been seemingly focused on the quarterbacks heading into the NFL draft in a couple of weeks. And kind of a curveball was thrown. I've talked about it here on the channel in Browns thoughts. Joe Flacco, going back to the Cleveland Browns, I think seemingly rules out Shador Sanders. And I've thought Shador Sanders was ruled out of number two for a while. The Giants at three are an interesting spot. The Raiders are interesting, even though they just re-signed Geno Smith to a big contract. But the New Orleans Saints are very interesting, picking at number nine. They have Derek Carr under contract, but it was reported by a couple of the big newsbreakers, Ian Rappaport and Adam Schefter. Derek Carr's shoulder is not doing so hot, and there is rumors that he may need surgery, and it may affect his availability for the 2025 season. And if he misses any sort of time, this changes the game completely at number nine for the New Orleans Saints because, I mean, Derek Carr has been fine, but he hasn't been outstanding. He's been very injury prone to begin with. The Saints have just brought in a new head coach in Kellen Moore, the offensive coordinator for the champion Philadelphia Eagles, and one-time offensive coordinator with the Chargers, with the Cowboys. So now he's the head coach of the Saints. This is very interesting because if you look at this situation, Derek Carr, like I said, is fine, but at no point in the near future are you going to win an extended amount of games with Derek Carr. That being said, the NFC South is a dumpster fire of a division where, you could potentially win 8 or 9 games and potentially get into the playoffs. Like Tampa Bay has won it the last couple of years with like 9 or 10 wins. Granted, Bayfield, and I'm very happy for him. He's played well. I think the Panthers are honestly coming because I think I give Bryce Young a ton of credit and Dave Canales a ton of credit for turning that thing around. The Falcons, I don't know. They got the weird thing with Kirk Cousins, but they're seemingly moving on to Michael Penix. So the Saints are in an interesting spot here at number nine. Depending on what happens, if say the Browns, I think will take Travis Hunter. Maybe it's Abdul Carter. I would be stunned if it's anyone other than those two. So if the Browns stay there and make their pick at two, and then the Giants pass on the quarterback at three, and they don't take Shador, this gets really interesting because then the Saints probably seemingly have a need at quarterback, and that becomes an option potentially for Shador Sanders. Maybe they can move up. I don't know. But also, the other element of this thing is Jackson Dart, the quarterback from Ole Miss, transferred from USC. Is he potentially in play and getting way overdrafted because there's a lot of people who were expecting him to get taken at the bottom portion of the round? Do the Saints panic here and basically say to themselves, well, fuck, we don't know when Derek Carr is going to be healthy. We need to figure out our quarterback of the future. And do they take Jackson Dart at number nine if Shador Sanders is off the board? Or if both of them are there, who the hell knows? Because I've heard rumors that some teams like Jackson Dart more than Shador Sanders. So this is a fascinating situation shaping up in New Orleans because I have no idea where the way this thing is going to shake out. There's still a lot to determine about Derek Carr's availability, but he's had injury issues dating back to his time with the Raiders. Like this is not a new thing. And you have a new coach in Kellen Moore, young guy, offensive guy. Maybe they just want to take a swing on one of these newer guys. And I definitely think this made the first round really, really interesting because really to me, as of this point, the draft is really going to start at number three because to me, what really is at play here, Cam Ward's going to go number one. The Browns, I think, are going to take Travis Hunter number two. And like I said, there's a small chance that they may take Abdul Carter. Either way, you're going to get to three, and Shador Sanders is still going to be there. If he gets past three with the Giants and doesn't get past there, all hell is going to break loose because you've got the Saints at 9, the Raiders are at 6. The Steelers still haven't signed Aaron Rodgers. The Steelers, I think, are picking at like 20 or 21. So all hell is going to break loose. Also, the Browns, like, if this gets to the middle of the round, the Browns could potentially get, froggy and potentially want to jump back in and potentially take their quarterback, or maybe they're going to stay back and potentially take a Jalen Milrow, a Will Howard, a Tyler Shuck, or whatever. But the Saints at 9 is really an interesting spot, especially with this news that Derek Carr could potentially miss significant amount of games, or maybe the entirety of the 2025 season. Like I said, we didn't really know about that. Maybe they were going to consider, taking a potential quarterback, but now the desperation level gets there because, like I said, guy who you paid a ton of money to, who's been kind of mid, maybe you move off of him with a new head coach. So this will be interesting to watch, and we'll see how it shakes out. We'll have a lot of coverage here on the channel leading into that. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. I will see you guys soon. Bye bye.